Hi, this is S.C. Perkins, and I write the Ancestry Detective Mystery Series featuring professional genealogist Lucy Lancaster. My books so far in order are titled Murder Once Removed, Lineage Most Lethal, and Fatal Family Ties. You can find me on my website at scperkins.com, or my social media handle everywhere is at scperkinswriter, and I am listening to the Dark and Stormy Book Club podcast.
Hello, and welcome to episode 221 of Dark and Stormy Book Club. It's June, what we're reading. Enjoy. I'm Ann Dark.
I'm Tracy Stormy.
And I'm Kathy Knight.
And together we are
It Was a Dark and Stormy Book Club,
a podcast for mystery lovers.
Welcome.
If you enjoy our show, please consider contributing to the Dark and Stormy Patreon. By becoming a patron, you will help us create better and quality content. There are also benefits to becoming a patron, such as exclusive content and Dark and Stormy merchandise. Become a supporter at patreon.com/darkandstormybc. Check our website for the link. We appreciate any and all contributions. Thank you.
I hope you enjoy these episodes as much as we do. It gives us an opportunity to just read whatever we feel like reading.
I have a long to-be-read list, so I kind of tend to glean from that.
There's no theme. It has to be a true crime, or even though mine just happens to be a true crime this time. And we'd love to hear what you guys are reading.
Send us an email at darkandstormybookclub@gmail.com and let us know what you're reading or what you'd like to have us read.
Stay tuned to the end of the episode. We have an exciting new segment we want to talk about.
Okay.
Let's get into it. Go ahead, Ann.
My first book is called Danger on the Atlantic. It's by Erica Ruth Neubauer. It's number 3 in her Jane Wunderly mystery series. It's from Kensington Books. Thank you, Larissa and Michelle, for sending us this book to review. It came out March 29th of this year. Atlantic Ocean, 1926. Voyaging from Southampton to New York, self-reliant Jane Wunderly is determined to prove herself a worthy investigator on the stately ship, even awkwardly going undercover as the fashionable wife of her magnetic partner, Mr. Redvers. Few details are known about the rumored German spy the duo have been tasked with identifying among the fellow passengers, but new troubles unfold once wealthy newlywed Vanessa FitzSimmons announces the sudden disappearance of her husband at sea. Miles Vandemeter, the man Vanessa rushed to marry in Monte Carlo, has allegedly vanished into thin air along with his luggage. Redvers guesses the shifty Harris may be weaving tall tales for fun between flutes of champagne. But Jane isn't convinced, not after the stunning murder of a trusted acquaintance sends them into uncharted waters. Facing 2 dangerous mysteries and a boatload of suspects, Jane must navigate a claustrophobic quest for answers before the culprits can slip from her grasp on land, or worse, ensure that she and Redvers never reach their destination.
Whoa.
I have taken the Queen Mary from England to New York. I had in my mind a picture of the Queen Mary, which is a stately ship, and all the little nooks and crannies that somebody could hide aboard a ship. In my mind, it was very easy to picture this story unfolding. Jane Wunderly is a good character. She's fun. She's traveling with her, quote, boss, Mr. Redvers, who is a very sexy older man. They are attracted to each other, I will say. And they are on this boat, apparently husband and wife. And they're looking for this German spy. And there's a ship full of people with all kinds of different peculiarities and little nuances. Mrs. FitzSimmons gets on the ship, and Jane sees her boarding because she's very flamboyant. And she has a man on her arm, and she gets on the ship. Well, all of a sudden, he's not there anymore. The woman's screaming. He's gone. Where's his luggage? Everything's taken out of her room. His luggage is gone.
Sounds
gone.
like an Agatha Christie.
It really sort of is. But Jane knows she saw this man, but she's the only one who says she's seen this man get on the boat. Everybody else says they never saw him.
This definitely sounds like right out of a Agatha Christie.
Yeah, it is really a lot of fun. And it doesn't take long before Jane gets into the seedy side of the ship, and the undercover, when a killer kills one of their contact people. It has a lot of twists and turns. It's a lot of red herrings. It's a very fun book. It's kind of the heyday of the sailing elite, where the rich people would go to Europe for 6 months and everything they own is taken with them, and it's all on this ship. When you read this book, you're going to feel the 20s vibe. It's just part of the story. You'll enjoy it. It's fun, and the mystery wraps up very nicely.
Did you figure it out?
I did, but I wasn't sure. I was just very happy when I was proven right. Even if you don't like this kind of shipboard mystery, all the other mysteries they've had in this series are just as good, if not as much fun. I highly recommend this series. It's very good.
Well, my book, it's called Last Call, a true story of love, lust, and murder in queer New York.
Ooh.
This book was the winner this year of the Edgar for Best Fact Crime. And it was written by Elon Green. And this is his first book. It came out March of 2021 by Celadon Books. The Townhouse Bar, Midtown, July 1992. The piano player seems to know every song ever written. The crowd belts out the lyrics to their favorites. And a man standing nearby is drinking a scotch and water. The man strikes the piano player as unforgettable. He looks bland and inconspicuous, not at all what you'd think a serial killer looks like. But that's what he is. And tonight he has his sights set on a gray-haired man. He will not be his first victim, nor will he be his last. The Last Call killer preyed upon gay men in New York in the 80s and 90s and had the hallmark of the most notorious serial killer. Yet because of the sexuality of his victims, the sky-high murder rates, and the AIDS epidemic, his murders have been almost entirely forgotten. I remember this happened in Philadelphia, where actually there's still is a thriving gay community. There was a movie about it with Tom Hanks, Philadelphia. So a lot of gay men especially felt very safe in Philadelphia and felt they could be themselves. So there was a lot of establishments that catered to gay folks. I can tell you who the murderer is because this is not a mystery. This is a true account of what happened. His name is Richard Rogers, and he is serving time for this, so he's been caught. But it's just amazing how much he got away with it in today's day and age. He would not have been able to accomplish. And the reason he is called the Last Call Killer is because when the bars were closing down and the lonely people go where they go, he would prey upon those gentlemen, shall we say. What I really enjoyed about this book, and what I've noticed from reading other people's reviews, is he really humanized the victims. You don't even hear Richard Rogers' name until about halfway through the book. And it's not like he said, oh, they're all wonderful. No, he talked about their flaws too. But he gave them a human face. And he was very sensitive how he treated the victims in the book. A lot of true crime books focus on the bad guy and must make them an anti-hero, and that doesn't do the victim's family any justice. I was curious about Richard Rogers, so I looked up. A&E had not interviewed him because he's not granting interviews, but they interviewed Elon Green about him. So one of the questions that they asked is Richard Rogers gay? Because a lot of times serial killers who prey on homosexual men are either closet or not gay at all and just angry. During the trial, he doesn't go into a lot of detail, but he does mention that he is gay. And he did go home with a few of these people and would murder them and chop them up and put them in trash bags, usually dispose of them along the interstate between Philadelphia and New York. His crime spree didn't just hit that area. He had murdered somebody in Maine. The thing that's the most interesting about the book, other than going into the detail about the victims, is the fact that since this was at a time where gay people were still having to either keep their sexuality under wraps or they were punished or chastised by the public, when these crimes started happening, the police really were not investigating as aggressively as they should have. But there were a few cops that rose to the challenge and got this thing solved. This book kept me on the edge of my seat, not because I was waiting for a conclusion, because I already knew what the conclusion was going to be. I saw a Dateline episode about this. If you enjoy a good true crime, then definitely check this out. I mentioned that this was the winner of the Edgar for the best fact crime, but there were a couple other things that this book got accolades for, and it was O Magazine's LGBTQ book that will change the library landscape in 2021. It received a Good Housekeeping Best True Crime Book of All Time.
Wow.
A Suspense Magazine Best Book of 2021, not Best Crime, Best Book, and an NBC News Most Notable LGBTQ Book of 2021. This is not some small potatoes here. We're talking big stuff. So if you enjoy, like I said, a very good true crime, you will love this book.
That sounds like one I'll have to check out. Okay, buckle up. It's going to be a roller coaster. Now, this book is called The Last Party. Talk about your last call. This is The Last Party. It is by Cassidy Lucas. It was put out by Harper Paperbacks on April 26th of this year. To start out, I read an arc for this book. The arc was the story of a lady named Dawn. Well, when I read reviews of the book, they were talking about Danny. So apparently, between the arc and the final,
they changed
the name of one of the main characters, and it was a little off-putting. I'm going to call her Danny because that's what she was changed to. She's turning 50 years old, and she lives in California. Her career has stalled. She has a daughter on the Asperger's spectrum, and her ex-husband is a fertility doctor actor and he's worshipped by Hollywood elite. She's feeling a little bleh. Her best friend, Mia Markle, is an actress, very strong-willed, and she insists she's going to plan the perfect birthday party for Danny.
Okay.
And they're going to go with their nearest and dearest friend. They're going to go to a private ranch in Topanga Canyon. On the weekend of the summer solstice, Danny and her 6 closest friends gather in the hills above the canyon at Celestial Ranch, 18 acres of rugged, wooded mountainside where they'll spend 3 glorious days hiking, practicing meditation and Reiki massage, and enjoying lavish catered cuisine. They will also indulge in a little DMT, a short-acting psychedelic drug meant to open their senses and transport them to a higher plane. But as the weekend unfolds, long-buried tensions, unresolved grievances, and old secrets emerge, leaving Danny desperate for clarity about her life. Danny and her friends take the drug late at night on an open hillside beneath the gathering stars. When Danny returns from her intense and revelatory trip, she learns that one of her friends has gone missing. Then another one disappears. And soon Danny finds herself alone on the dark mountainside, seemingly abandoned by the people who were supposed to love her most. Or have they somehow been taken from her? This book is a wild ride. The Celestial Ranch is a retreat up in the mountains where people, especially wealthy people, can go and rent cabins and unplug. It's run by a woman named Twyla and her husband Arnold. They're basically aging hippies. Twyla is very into nature and the natural way of life. She has hired to help her best friend named Sybil. Sybil used to be a psychic to the stars until she was ruined when an event went terribly wrong. As part of this weekend, Mia, the friend who set this whole thing up, has actually hired Sybil to do readings for the attendees. The ranch is rustic, and people get away from the rat race, and then once they get there, they complain that they don't have cell phone service. They have all these little cabins out in the woods. Well, it's 7 people. Danny, she's turning 50, and Mia is the one who set it up. Now, she has a boyfriend, quote, he is one of those rugged, good-looking movie stars. His name is Jax. Danny's other friends are Graham, Summer, Joni, and Reese. Reese, she was a therapist years ago for their parenting group for the children on the spectrum.
Oh, okay.
And the others are all had children or stepchildren who were on the spectrum. Danny's ex-husband refuses to take Quinn, who is their daughter, who's autistic. So Danny has to bring her along with her because the girl has horrible separation anxiety.
Okay.
But once she's there, Mia says, we're going to do things she can't be part of, especially the drugs and so forth and so on. So you're going to have to work on her staying by herself in the cabin. Danny does that. There's also on this ranch, Raj. He's a drifter that nobody knows is there. And he is living in a cave on the ranch with his girlfriend, Candace. Why is he there? What does he want? And who is the strange man that comes to visit him? This is a creepy story, I'm telling you.
So what type of book is this? It's not a cozy.
It is definitely not a cozy, that's for sure. It's a suspense. You don't know what's going to happen next. It is one of those, you talk about your unreliable narrative. Mia has a story, is that real? Jax has a story, is that real? It's all interwoven, and the climax is well worth it. It's very well done. It is a good book. I highly recommend it. I believe this is Cassidy Lucas's first book, and I look forward to what she puts out next. That gives you 3 books.
3 very different
books. At least the 2 that I read. I haven't read The Last Call, but I plan on reading that. That sounds very good, because I love a true crime. But we have a new segment we want to tell you about.
You have until August, so we're not bringing this one on you.
Yep, you have over a month. And what we're doing is we have selected a book. It is called
On a Quiet Street
by Serafina Nova Glass. It was put out by Graydon House on May 17th of this year. We are all going to read it. So pick it up at the library, Kindle, Audible, however you get your books.
Especially your local independent booksellers.
Yes, be sure.
And that's why we're giving you a month. So if they don't have it, you can request it. And one person you could get in touch with is Liz at Caprico Books.
Liz's website is Capricos, CAPRICHOS books.com.
I'm sure she could order it for you.
Yes.
Then what we're going to do is we're going to we call ourselves a book club, but we don't act like much of a book club. We just tell you what we read. Then we're going to discuss the book. And we would love, love, love to have your input on this book. We're going to do this like maybe once every other month and give you time to read a book and then let us know what you think. Or give us questions
you'd like to have answered.
We're going to try this, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I know there's some people out there that will definitely do it. Art and Tammy.
Yes.
And speaking of Art and Tammy, we would not be anywhere if we did not have our patrons.
Amen. We especially want to thank each and every one of our patrons. We don't have a lot, but we've got quality.
We have the faithful few.
Cynthia,
Tammy,
Art,
Liz,
Terry,
Jackie,
and Stacy.
We love you beyond words. Kisses and hugs for all of you.
Yes.
Virtually, because we're in a pandemic.
Yes. And we do have an announcement. We are taking 2 weeks off to spend a little time with our families. They've forgotten what we look like.
And here in the United States, we have this little thing called the 4th of July. So we figured this would be a good opportunity for us to do this.
And
please keep listening, because we have some of our favorite episodes will be, so our new listeners will be able to hear some content. And our faithful listeners will get to revisit some of our episodes.
We will be back with new episodes on the 19th of July. We look forward to being together again. Don't forget to read the book for August.
One thing we forgot to say when we mentioned our patrons, that if you would like to join our faithful few, you can do it for as little as $1 a month. You would go to
patreon.com/Dark and Stormy Book Club.
Absolutely. If you don't want to be committed to a monthly, we take one-time donations in our tip jar, which our website is darkstormybc.com.
Trivia. Last week's question was, James M. Cain wrote which book that became an award-winning movie? A. The Postman Always Rings Twice. B. Serenade. C. Mildred Pierce. Or D. Double Indemnity. The answer is all of them. Cain vehemently opposed labeling, but he is usually associated with the hard-boiled school of American crime fiction and is seen as one of the creators of the roman noir. His crime novels, The Postman Always Rings Twice from 1934, Serenade 1937, Mildred Pierce in 1941, and Double Indemnity in 1936 and 1943 became well-known movies. This week's question is, which author owns Doc Ford's Sanibel Rum Bar and Grill in Florida? A. James Patterson. B. Carl Hyacin. C. Randy Wayne White. Or D. Susan Cornwell. Good luck. All right. Well, that wraps us up for another week and for 3 weeks, I guess.
Yep. And for our United States listeners, happy 4th of July. Hope you're spending it with loved ones and eating lots of hamburgers and hot dogs.
And for our Canadian friends, happy Canada Day on the 1st of July. And remember,
life would be boring without a little mystery.
Bye.